mountain, floating in the valley below, stuck in the middle with nowhere to go. I could jump up, turn around, face the other way. That ain't gonna get me through one more day. I've seen hard times, maybe more than a few. There's just one thing that you can do. Got to keep on moving. Got to keep on moving. Life is like water running out the side. Don't sit there waiting for your boat to capsize. Keep on pushing and moving ahead. If you ain't gonna, then you're better off dead. I've seen hard times, maybe more than a few. There's just one thing that you can do. Got to keep on moving. Got to keep on moving. There's a great big world outside, so grab a hold, maybe take that ride. Don't be afraid, come on, take a chance tonight. I've seen hard times, maybe more than a few. There's just one thing that you can do. Got to keep on moving. Got to keep on moving. Got to keep on grooving. Got to keep on moving. Welcome to the Inside Track. I'm your host, Dwayne Carlton. On this episode, we're going to take a look at the songwriting and music of Chad Hollister.
I grew up a preacher's kid in Burlington, South Burlington, Vermont. And growing up there was wonderful. We grew up right next to the Chittenden cider mill. And so it was one of my jobs as a kid was jugging cider. And I think the only other real job I ever had was jugging cider and washing dishes at the Cork and Board. That's about it. Growing up in Vermont definitely gave me an appreciation for the environment, for nature, for the beautiful mountains. My folks would always say, take in this view. and I find myself saying that exact line to my kids, Riley and Bodie, like, look at these mountains and take them in. And so, so I think that just the appreciation for the land, the beautiful, the farms that are all around, the animals, the animals running through our front and backyard is just definitely crept into my songs as an appreciation for, for nature. As a kid, I always knew that I was a drummer, and my mom said that I had to learn how to play a real instrument first. Eventually, after trying the violin and the cello and the piano, that was painful, although I really wished I had related to the piano more, made it to the drums, and I think I just always loved music, and my interest. I think what really sparked it for me was the rhythm. I've always had the rhythm in me, and that spreads all throughout my music. Now being on guitar, it spills into that, and my singing and my vocal approach and how I phrase my lyrics is definitely heavily influenced by percussion and by the drums. As a kid, underneath my brother's bed was a snare drum. And I think that snare drum was given to him by my dad, because my dad, as a kid, was in drum corps. But I don't think I ever really heard him drum. But I would always take my brother's snare drum out. It was in this blue, it was a Ludwig snare, and it was in this blue, case where you'd put the stand in the side, one of those old school cases. And I would always just take it out and set it up and just play it. So that was kind of, I think, one of my first musical memories. I got my first drum kit when I was 7, and it was this multicolored. I remember the floor tom was blue sparkle, and it was a Torador, Torodor, blue sparkle, and then I had another floor tom that was a red one, and it just was great. So that was kind of my thing, and I specifically remember my endless hours of just drumming. And normal parents would be like, shut up and, quit playing your drums. Why didn't you play the flute? But after every drum solo, and I tell this to this day, my mom would always be like, always clap, even if it was a half hour, 45-minute, just me going throughout. Everybody was a huge fan of Neil Peart, and I love Neil, but Stuart Copeland is my guy. Like the Police and what they did, they really revolutionized reggae rock without anybody realizing it. I was definitely a product of the 80s, and Bryan Adams, Cuts Like a Knife. Good Lord, what a great record. And I was more kind of the pop rock guy growing up, and I think in my later years now I'm discovering the Stones. I always and discovering Led Zeppelin. It sounds funny, but I wasn't diving deep into that stuff kind of until now, and now my musical tastes vary from. I'm have always been a big Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald fan, and just different musical cats like Joshua Redmond, is one of my favorite sax players, and of course the Marsalis brothers, Wynton and Branford. I love many different things, but I've always been a huge reggae fan. Marley's always had a place in my heart. I have a distinct memory, and it's in 1983, which I guess I would have been a sophomore, and I was out. My dad was a preacher, and he was leading the college staff out at in Carrizozo, New Mexico, at a place called Ghost Ranch, which was the National Center for the Presbyterian Church. I remember the talent show, and I sang Neil Young's Sugar Mountain, and I'll remember that feeling. That was a very distinct moment that helped me know that I wanted to play music. First song, I think, was written in high school. Well, I think I probably wrote my first one in it was in high school, and it was for a gal, Mia Pizzagalli. Mia, if you're out there, I don't even remember the name of it, but I do remember the performance of it, and it was in the gym at South Burlington High School. And I remember my friends were so dedicated because I played piano on it, which is funny because my piano is mediocre at best. And we had to carry the piano. It was really before the days of keyboards, I'm dating I'm 29, remember. So we had to carry the piano down these steps, because it was a huge piano, upright piano. And we performed that first song, probably, I don't know, in, some point in high school. I was probably a sophomore or something like that. So I went to the University of Vermont. I graduated in 1991. My degree was in French. Oui, je parle français. And I minored in music, which just meant that I had to take 2 theory classes and 2 music history classes and a bunch of performance credits because I was in the jazz band and the concert band and the percussion ensemble, and so it was good. But I loved UVM. I loved the experience for sure. But I think always in my heart, even with the French major, I knew I was going to play music. Unless I started the French winery that I told my girlfriend at the time, now wife, Katie O'Rourke. She's the best. That's what I wanted to do, is start a French winery. To this day, she still holds me to that being a line, but it's true. I love good wine. So throughout the years, obviously, as I started playing in bands, I was behind the drum kit and I was singing all along the way. And then the first record I made was with my buddy Jeff Wick. Chad and Jeff was our duo. Very inventive name, by the way. And then when that split up, I realized that I really wanted to continue writing my own material, which was kind of a big thing for me. We were doing kind of 2/3 covers and 1/3 original, and I was always pushing to do more original stuff. But when Jeff decided to go to law school, that was kind of the moment where I realized I needed to pick up the Git box and surround myself with my favorite musicians.
When the wall comes down and you've lost your crown, the clouds seem so dark, and you lost who you are, and the storm feels cold right down to your soul. Just find your core in the dark of the early morn, and you crave your home and you're not alone, and the air is your only friend. Just breathe and breathe once again. And it all seems so black and white, just like the winter evening sky. Just breathe and breathe once again. Say once again. Again. When the rain pours down and you've almost drowned, and the tears in the water blends, it's hard to see where you are, and it's getting so cold and you're feeling old, and there's a door. Just open her and walk in. And you crave your home and you're not alone, and the air is your only friend. Just breathe and breathe once again. Yeah, it all seems so black and white, just like the winter evening sky. Just breathe, breathe once again. Say once again. Once again. Once again. Oh, and again, 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 again. And you crave your home and you're not alone, in the air she's your only friend. Just breathe and breathe once again. And it all seems so black and white, just like that Vermont winter evening sky. Just breathe and breathe once again. And you crave your home and you're not alone, in the air is your only friend. Just breathe and breathe once again. And it all seems so black and white, it's like the winter evening sky. Just breathe
I think now with having a family and a house that we call our own, there is such an amazing feeling and longing for home. And I just love my home. And when I'm traveling, I love meeting new people and playing for new crowds and getting my music out to new people. But there's always an underlying current, in my heart that is so excited to go back home. And I think that's really the root of it. And also just the reality that whenever myself or other people get stressed, it's really a message to people to remember to breathe. The realistic, like when I'm in traffic in Boston or New York, I'm like, I hate 95 with a passion, 128 and, trying to make it through New Haven, is one of the worst places ever to get through. And especially if you're there at like 4:15, you think you're going to beat it and you're socked in. Literally remembering, to take deep breaths and just breathe. Because so many times I forget to breathe. The emotions spill over you. You just that visual right there. That was my attempt at Springsteen imagery. But the tears, the emotions are taking over you, and you're in the middle of this rainstorm. For some reason, you have no cover, and you not only is it hard to really see where you are, but there's just kind of this helpless feeling, and so that in turn, what is the best medicine for that? But just take a huge deep breath and and move on. As people, as artists, as whoever you are, I think there's a lot of times that you feel like you're in this by yourself. And then to realize that you're not alone, I think is a huge life moment realization.
All white in my face, so alive, not sure what's taking place. Knees up to my chair, newborn canyon, hard to know where to begin. See, it's this life I chose. It's my poetry and my prose. I pushed it past the edge, like time and time and time again. Mind is crashing one last time, for on this mountain my soul will always fly. See, it's this life I chose. It's my poetry and my prose. La la la. Now here we are, in this old house, driving your old passion took the life of you. It's this life I chose. It's this life left us. Watch the years roll by. We're all growing with you deep in our minds. Left no choice but to move on and live what was your voice. Not this life I would choose. It's this life left us with.
Yeah, All White was written for a new friend of mine, Dan Egan, who is, he and his brother John have been in many of the Warren Miller films. He's an extreme skier. And I got in touch with him and I wrote the theme song for his upcoming movie, which is called Dying to Ski. And the All White is just basically, if you can imagine that feeling, as whether you're a skier or a snowboarder, everybody's experienced it, of just total powder. We in Vermont wish we had the champagne powder that they have out in Colorado and et cetera. But we have had it, and so that's where the title comes from. And then the inspiration was Dan's film Dying to Ski is about his lost brothers on the hill. Many of his friends have died while extreme skiing. And with this song, he wanted to tell the story of both sides. Of course, all of the ski films up to, have been wonderful glorifications of these extreme skiers. But this also deals with the legacy of what they left behind. Verse number 2, now here we are in this old house driving your old car, just sets you in that image of the family driving the beat up Subaru that he used to drive all over the place. And so it deals with both sides, and that's kind of where it comes from. And you certainly end up, I think, feeling good about, I think it's important to do something that you love. But with extreme skiing, there's a side of that that can leave people behind if it goes wrong. And so that was kind of a ballsy move on Dan's part, because it's delicate. It's a delicate issue. And so I tried to do it in a very respectful way. The first couple verses at the end, it's this life I chose, it's my poetry and my prose, and then, it's this life, I chose and it's this life that left us alone. And then the last one kind of brings it full circle. It's not this life I'd choose. Like if it were the wife's choice, it's not this life I'd choose, but it's this life that left us without you, is kind of what brings the song full circle. So in the beginning, it's him, living the dream, and then in that second verse, it's him, took it past the edge, like time and time and time again, and mind is one last time, for on this mountain my soul will fly, because that, as an extreme skier, that's your deal. You don't say, I'm not going to do this, and you, I think, are consistently. I mean, it might be better to ask a Dan or a John Egan or a Glenn Plake, one of my favorite crazies, what goes through their mind. But I don't think they think twice, So those are the first two, and then the kind of third and fourth verses are the family perspective. I am a firm believer that people should pay for music. I am not a fan of giving music away that we've worked so hard on. The idea about music these days is really being redefined now. And so making new ways to get your music out there without necessarily giving it away is powerful. YouTube is wonderful and horrible. And it's horrible in that nobody's getting paid for it. I mean, that somebody had over a million views on YouTube and made $17. And that's stupid. That's just plain stupid. Plans for the future are really to take over the world through music. But to continue what I'm doing, I'd love to be doing more movie soundtrack work. I'd love to be doing music where I'm not necessarily having to tour as much. And I've noticed that in my life in the past years anyway, because I don't want to miss my children growing up. So I've chosen to stay closer to home. I still do fly dates. We'll fly out to California for a week, or this year we'll be in Colorado for New Year's for a few days, for about 4 or 5 days. But I think the plans are to just continue making musical history and getting it out there in different mediums, I think.
Thank you for watching The Inside Track. We'd like to thank our guest, Chad Hollister. Until next time, remember, please support live local music.